Thanks, James. Thanks, James. And that, go in here. So today I'm going to talk about how open source technologies and R in particular are transforming processes in the industry. And I'll start with a question. Did you guys know that looking at all commercial code bases, 3/4 of them are open source? And in these commercial code bases, only 4% have absolutely no open source component. And this shows like the moment that we are living in, that where open source is clearly the present and also the future of all industries. And the future is not only open source, but there's no future without it. And first, I'd like to start to talk about how Epsilon was born. And it was born out of open source. We were creating shiny dashboards and creating additional tools to power up those dashboards. And we were so inspired by the community and by using these R packages and these open source packages that we felt that there might be some interest in what we were doing and the tools that we were creating. And because of that, we started to publish those with an unclear goal if they were going to be accepted by the community. But the packages were accepted, they were used, and we got bigger. We got to publish more packages out of the tools that we were creating, among them Rhino and Shiny Telemetry, Shiny Router, like bringing also some UI elements just as semantics, Fluent UI, Blueprint, and so forth. We can also like translate interfaces for different languages. So, and bringing more people to the Shiny dashboards and being able to implement them in a wider world. And I'm very happy that this happened because we are part of this amazing community of people and organizations that is very diverse. And well, we're looking forward to contribute and keep on the path. And at Epsilon, we have a unique perspective from the multiple industries out there, not only pharma but others, and how they are implementing open source in their applications, and how far they are in this journey. And pharma is one of the major industries that benefits greatly from this open source community, but it is also an industry that really loves SaaS and proprietary technologies. And although we are moving towards open source with R, with Pharmaverse in particular, I think this is something that most people here will know about, there's still a long way forward to get these tools widely adopted, not only by the industry, but also from the reviewers, from the regulatory agencies, and so forth. And on this presentation, I'm going to show two different projects that we worked in. And hopefully you'll get some new ideas about how to implement R and Shiny on your own projects, and also the interoperability and how to integrate R with other technologies to bring the best of multiple worlds together in an open source platform. And the first case study revolves around something that is very familiar to us. It's two reports that were needed to be generated by this organization, and they took different times to prepare, but it was a very manual process. It started with an email that created this document and go back and forth between different stakeholders, and you get to see some nice names that are like report final version. Report final version 2, 2.1, real final, and so forth. And this is a very manual process that is time consuming. And in an industry that moves, well, it doesn't move so quickly, but there are some things that need to be detected very early on to avoid problems and to avoid any losses. And this was the case for these two reports. One that took around 7 weeks to prepare and was done in an yearly basis, and another one that needed to be done every week. But it also, both of them consumed a lot of time from people that were doing repetitive tasks. They were just bringing up data sources and copying, creating graphs, creating plots, creating tables, and just generating this manually, where they could be using their time for something else that is more valuable to the organization. And here we have, we were dealing with data-intensive tasks, so we were integrating data from multiple sources, and the challenge was to validate this data and produce reports that follow a flexible template that can be changed, and can be adapted to correct for anything and any problems that it has, but also can be adapted so it can be improved on, and so the next version can already include those changes. And this whole pipeline needed to be well tested and documented so that the outcome is a reproducible report. I think reproducibility is something that we all care about, so that the data that we introduced today results on the same report, results on the same output now, but also a year from now, and so with anytime in the middle, so that there are no surprises. We all hate surprises. The data And R and Shiny is a good match for this project because it is a very data-intensive task that has a lot of data analytics, but we also to create these reports that are reproducible, that are also traceable, so that all the data in the modifications are traceable from their initial data source to the report to comply to existing regulations. And it was important for this client to export this to Word, to PDF, to other formats, and that the plots that we're seeing in the interface were exactly the same that were on the documents. And the crucial part here that brought a lot of value for this project was that instead of taking 7 weeks to prepare or 5 hours, these were reports that were generated in a matter of minutes. And it brought a lot of big business impact, because this way we could monitor events on the production line almost in real time to detect problems early on and avoid some financial losses that are related to these inventory issues. It also saved a lot of time on people that they have a lot of value in the organizations, but they were doing the same thing over and over again, just copying, pasting, generating things. And this way, the process, by being automated, we could avoid all of that and have people with a better morale. They are more happy with their job because they are actually doing something that is interesting and participating in creating value to the organization. And this saved a lot of money, like that. And as we all know, in pharma, like, confidentiality is a big part of it, so we are not showing the actual applications. I'm just talking broadly about it, but I'll show some demos about other dashboards or packages that are related to the case studies. And in this first one, I wanted to show the interactivity of Shiny. I don't know if everyone in the audience have worked with Shiny, but all of the elements there are integrated. And they are interactive amongst themselves. So what is selected on the data part of it can be reflected immediately on the plots, being a normal plot or a geolocation widget. And all of this is powered by robust R packages and mature, that make this experience quite nice for experienced developers, but also easy enough so that someone can just pick up R, and without a lot of knowledge, a lot of big background in computer science, can create these dashboards or these initial prototypes of dashboards. And using Shiny, we can create all of these elements that interact between themselves and don't require this technical overhead or knowledge to handle the shared state. And the second demo that I wanted to showcase is this data validator package. And this allows to validate data as it is imported and create nice reports out of it. It is something that the case study relied heavily on. And the interesting part about this package, not only that it validates text or numeric and also context-aware data, such as the location, but it was born in a project with a partner. And there was we had a contract with them, and that is what with non-disclosure and a lot of confidentiality, but with an agreement, because we both us and the partner saw the potential for the community and that this would be an interesting package to publish. We made it an open source one. And moving to the second case study, it relates to drug development and pharmacokinetics. And here, the process started very similar to the last one. Instead of being an email and a report, it started with an Excel file that took weeks to populate and to create all of the data required. On this Excel file, research scientists were able to do some data exploration. So it's not only a report for generating a report as the last case study, but here there was actually decisions coming out about drug dosage from this Excel file. And research scientists could use calculate human dose prediction, allometric calculations, perform Monte Carlo simulations, and some analysis and prediction on the compounds. And this, again, was a very manual process that was prone to errors. As it was based in Excel, moving a cell or around would create changes. Also, changing a formula just for a minute before undoing it, or without undoing it, would create a cascading effect that down the pipeline it would create errors that needed to be traced back to that single cell change. And so this spreadsheet needed to be audited, as the original file has been through like multiple revisions, and it wasn't the same as it started. And I'd like to point out that using an Excel to create Monte Carlo simulations is not ideal. You cannot really control the initial parameters, and even in the randomness of the simulation. So every time a new simulation was being done, the previous one was lost to the ether, and we could not reproduce it. And this was the entry point for R on this project. And R champion within the organization, what he did was create a Shiny application that created this Monte Carlo simulation where he copied and pasted the data there and performed it with controlled parameters. It was a very initial prototype, but it was the bridge that was needed to be created for us to step in and also help them create a better process for this. And during the discovery process, we found that there are 3 key goals to achieve on this project. And first was to create a platform that could import this data from different sources, with animal data and in vitro studies, and store it and compare it against the existing collection of results. The data validator package was pretty helpful on this one also. So, and secondly, audit all of the formulas, all the calculations, all of the models that were being done within Excel, and transform those from those complicated formulas and VB code to existing R packages that are robust, they are well tested, and they are reproducible amongst everything. And finally, we needed a central point to collaborate on. Instead of having a convoluted process to work on a shared Excel file, we had a dashboard that would handle the synchronization of it and save the status so that the next person could just pick it up and continue the analysis. And again, R is a great match for this, as it's a data-heavy process, and we found that the existing packages in CRAN, in Bioconductor, perform all of the same functions, even better, because well, they are very well tested. And so we don't have to reinvent the wheel on modeling. We just had to certify the whole process and convert it into a beautiful interface that people can use it. Because being beautiful interface is also important. We want to promote adoption, and for this to happen, for people to use it, they actually need to enjoy the process and also be open to this change, so that the new application is much better than the previous process. So this allowed us to create reports that are a direct match from what is in application and have the whole process traceable and reproducible, so that the reports, again, comply with all regulations. And the business impact of this was, it boils down to a faster collaboration, and it didn't reduce the timeline of the process, but during that timeline, people were not afraid and didn't have to validate everything that was happening, so the value that was created and the discussion and the innovation that was spurred from this was, it is unmeasurable. There are already products in the market that came from this dashboard, or this dashboard participated in the process, of course. And it just becomes faster to gather all of the data. It's easy to collaborate. And it also provides a smoother onboarding process for new hires. So it's much better to explain this via a dashboard on an application than just explain that, oh, you have to do this, that, and that. We wait for the other person to fill it in and then pick it up from there. So much easier. And here I'd like to show a shiny dashboard that, well, it doesn't really, it's a giant leap from the case study, but this will showcase some of the things that we've done. And this, this dashboard assesses the damage from natural disasters, and it uses computer vision models to do this. That pick up satellite images before the disaster and after, and then use those models to assess the damage. And this dashboard was created with Shiny, but the models that powered this were created or were developed using PyTorch. And they were connected via an API. And this shows that we can connect like, the best of multiple worlds to create effective applications that serve a purpose, and they can be used immediately by the organization. It is still hard to create web applications via Python, so here R and Shiny still have a great role to glue everything together. It also uses React.js in the interface, so it also connects to a new technology, and this is done via the Shiny React package that we developed. And it shows the flexibility that we have in bringing the best of each technology together, and to both achieve the goals, but also match the skills and the knowledge set that the organization has. And Shiny is just the glue that brings it all together. And talking about the glue that brings it all together, what connects these case studies? And there is a common thread over it, or at least 4 big topics that connect these 2 case studies and other projects that work to improve these workflows in the industry. And first of all, it's automation. And countless hours were no longer needed to perform these repetitive tasks. And these tasks were validated, they can be well tested, and the focus again can be redirected to activities that are important to the organization. The applications themselves are built around the user. And interface, as I've said, is a game changer because it promotes adoption. Every time we bring change to organization, it's quite hard to manage this change. It needs a lot of things happening, a lot of training, and having a beautiful application that is easy to use is central to this. And here, Shiny is a very good tool for that because we can iterate very fast. We can create the prototype with not that many knowledge, but experienced developers can iterate on that prototype over time in a matter of days or just a week and bring it back with the changes that actually improve the dashboard. And this further contributes to adoption. The vision can also come from within the organization. And Shiny, as I've said, allows for data science team and in-house teams to create these prototypes and then bring it to production or bring an outside company to improve on that prototype. And using open source technologies, they have this low entry barrier to deliver this. One of the case studies that that was removed from the presentation was about also about drug development, and we had a partner that that application took around 5 minutes to load. And once you open that application, you have to wait for 5 minutes. It's cumbersome, and it also was risking getting off production. So we jumped in and took the great job that was done in-house and improve it to make it faster, to make it tested, and to make that application also documented, which will reduce costs on the long term related to maintenance. There is also another interesting case that happened just recently on a call that we had with a potential nonprofit partner, where we were talking with the executives on that nonprofit, and about the goals, about what we wanted to achieve with the dashboard. And the executive, she whipped out a prototype that she created. She had absolutely no experience with R, no experience with programming, and she created a prototype of a Shiny application that showed the data that they had to their stakeholders and to their potential donors. And this is what she wanted to achieve. And having this involvement from the users, within the organization, it's very important, because she now is a champion of R, of Shiny, that will promote it in our organization, but also in her career. And it's always better to interact with someone that is as passionate about open source and about this sort of technologies as we are. And also, there's a global community that works together to improve these tools as well. Today we are all here because of this. This is a community that's very interested in R and Shiny and wants to continue to improve it. And and there are also like smaller communities such as Bioconductor that focus on emergent and current biological assays. Pharmaverse that is involved in end-to-end clinical trials. And so there's also a lot of people that are interested in improving the packages, improving like the tools that we have. Another value that we have by using R and for instance, Python, is that the universities now are currently teaching in these languages, in these technologies. So when newly graduates, they leave university, they are looking to start their careers in using this sort of technologies. And and they can start to produce value immediately if the company and the organization already works with this, instead of having to learn or having to pass through the steep learning curve of SAS or any other technology. They can bring value to the organization immediately. And with this, I would like to thank you for your time, and open to questions.
So Andre, thank you very much. And I think when I look across a lot of the dashboards I see within our own company, it's often BS4- or Shiny semantics. So I think a lot of us are leveraging the tools that people like yourself are building. So thank you. So we have time for a couple of questions. Can open up.
Yeah, I just have a question. So I think our Shiny is great and very cool, and it can do a lot of things. At the same time, I think there is sometimes an overhype that people wants to make apps on things that shouldn't be an app, and things that can be done just once, and you can have a reproducible code. Also, reproducibility does not come very easily in a Shiny app, right? So you need to really think before you create a Shiny app in order to make it reproducible later. So do you often see this also in the companies that you consult for, or is this a problem?
Yeah, it is a big problem, because reproducibility in testing is something that is not a priority at all. It comes usually later in the process, when there is so much technical debt, so many mistakes that were being done in the process, that the application or the code base is unmaintainable. And there, refactoring is in order, and also this testing phase, not only for the smaller pieces of the application, so let's talk about unit tests, but also in integrated tests. So I agree with that. Like an experience that we have when working with partners is that this reproducibility, this testing, is not on their DNA when creating these dashboards. But it's something that is very important and I'm very passionate about. During my research career, I was trying to reproduce a paper, and there are so many magical parameters that they are not usually described, that it's just I lost years of my life trying to reproduce that, and it's become one of my passions ever since, because I don't want people to experience that with things that I make.
So I think we have time for one more question, and I think I saw a hand being...
Yeah. Very nice examples, especially the first one with the annual product review. My question is, did you manage to put the corresponding Shiny apps public? Or have you thought about it? Because we are talking about giving back something to the community.
Yeah.
Because I think especially this topic of our annual product review is all pharma companies having it and all pharma companies struggling with it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately not. We cannot show the application here, so they are not definitely not public. But what we give out to the community are usually the tools that we create to develop these dashboards, such as the data validator, but a bunch of other tools. Another tool that came recently from a project with a pharma partner is a tool that monitors the usage of the Shiny, so that you can actually see what the users are using, what tabs they are taking, what filters they are applying, and so we can trace that back and improve the application. But the application itself, that's very proprietary for now.
Okay, so I understand you are working for a CRO to provide this business to a company. Then my question is, if you are doing this, are you suggesting this to the sponsor that at some point in time it would be good and it would add to the community, so to suggest to the sponsor? Are you doing this as part of your business?
I believe so. This is a tricky question that has a lot of strings attached to it and a lot of tricks. But we are passionate about open source, and so we always prefer to work together with our partners and publish, if not the actual application, a template of that application that can be reused and modified to fit the business goals of a different organization. But yeah. we are very passionate about open source, and we would love that all of our dashboards would be public. This would also showcase better the work that we are doing. But
Cool. So thank you again, Andre, and he'll be
Thanks.
around. So definitely follow up with questions. I think this giving back is going to be a common theme potentially today.
yeah.